welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast. It's good to have you all back with us this week, and I'm your host, David Ward. We're going to be looking at some fresh new things for reminders on your Amazon Echo. Yes, reminders goes way back to the earliest Echoes as a pivotal feature in my mind, a cornerstone feature of the Echo. If you used it almost for nothing but this, and you had a need, maybe connected with medications or other things, very, very powerful set of features when we think of timers, alarms, and even the calendar functionality. But reminders is super, super cool. It is grown over the years, and it's just good for everybody. I use them every day, but for caregivers and the like who maybe are trying to help family members remember to take medications or other activities throughout the day, you might find this new follow-up mode very useful. So not only do they get the reminder maybe that once, but it'll be reiterated to them throughout the day until they acknowledge that it was done, maybe taking the medication or whatever the thing was. We're also briefly going to mention another aspect of reminders that has been added, and that's the ability to earmark reminders for specific family members. Yes, Dad, don't, or little Johnny, the son, don't forget to take out the trash, right? So we're going to talk about that real briefly too. It can get kind of complicated, but we're just going to mention it as well in this episode. But before we get into the nitty gritty of all of that, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Well, hello again, and welcome back to the podcast. Appreciate your patience there with us as we got some of those details out of the way. We're going to be getting into reminders today, as we mentioned earlier. So reminders go way, way back. And before I get into that and the history of that a little bit, we'd like to welcome our returning listeners, and we'd like to welcome our new listeners. And we're right up at that line where we're about to cross over into 100,000 listens to our 5 years of podcasts, and we really appreciate your listenership. And at the tail end of that podcast, we'll mention some ways you can reach out to us with questions and thoughts and suggestions, but also just some ways that you can help support us. Okay, so let's delve right into this. And as for our new listeners too, my name is David Ward. I'm an assistive technology instructor with the New Vision program, and you'll find our episodes are little nuggetized episodes. We try to keep it 5 to 15 minutes long, where we teach you new things about your Echo, and sometimes we dust off some of the old goodies as well. Now, today's episode is interesting because it is an old goodie, but with some fresh paint. So going way back to the original Echoes, one of the cool things that a lot of people love doing on the Echo is setting reminders for cooking, timers, the ability to set alarms, eventually alarms that broadened into music and different things you could do with alarms. But reminders were right there at the forefront as well, and they were pretty primitive, but since then they've advanced. And in our past catalog, by all means go back and check more about reminders, how those reminders can even come to your telephone in multiple ways. So if you're not at home when the reminder goes off, the reminder, I believe, can be configured to go off on all your Echoes simultaneously throughout the house or even at work. You can set the reminder so as it notify you once, twice, 3 times. In other words, it'll say the reminder several times in a row at that exact instance. So a whole wide variety of reminder features have advanced, and our past episodes cover that. Well, today we have some fresh paint, some new features from Amazon about the reminders, and I'm so super glad to hear about this feature in particular, and that is follow-up mode. Okay, follow-up mode. So in other words, maybe you're in the middle of something, whether you hear the echo or you get the reminder on your phone. Either way, you're in the middle of something, right? But you still need to do that important reminder during the day. Well, this way, the echo will repeatedly check in with you throughout the rest of the day on the hour, every hour after the initial reminder, to just check in and say, hey, did you take the trash out? Hey, did you take that medication? Hey, and until you actually acknowledge it and say yes or done, it will continue to do that throughout the rest of the day, periodically on the hour. So very interesting. I'm looking forward to hopefully them broadening that, how you could get that, maybe every half hour or every 2 hours or 3 hours, some flexibility in that. Right now it's set to the hour, and we'll learn about that here in a second. All right. Well, I just want you guys to hear this. This is just super cool before I elaborate anymore. So if you have an echo in hearing distance of me, you might want to shut its ears off. That way I'm not triggering your echo at home, setting reminders for your echo. But we're going to test this here in just a second. Okay, hopefully I've given you time to do that. And you're always welcome to pause the podcast, rewind, whatever, and come back. Okay, so let's give this a try. Alexa, create a follow-up reminder.
What's the reminder for?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
When should I remind you?
10 seconds.
Okay, I'll remind you in 10 seconds, and follow up every hour until you tell me this is done.
See, that's the new feature there when I earmarked it as a follow-up reminder. Now, I could obviously set a time or any date. It's at 10 seconds, but I wanted you, of course, to hear it.
David, here is your reminder. Testing 1, 2, 3. If you've finished this, just let me know you're done. Otherwise, I'll remind you in an hour.
All right, so there you go. You get that additional context that she's going to follow up with you every hour about that reminder. Oh.
David, here is your reminder. Testing 1, 2, 3. If you've finished this, just let me know you're done. Otherwise, I'll remind you in an hour.
Alexa, stop. Not too sure why she did it there a second time. Should have been an hour later. But anyway, you get the idea. So, pretty cool feature there, and that is follow-up mode. So very cool. Now, I played with this, and you do get some additional functionality. And check this out. I think this is going to be the super cool thing. Because there are another branch of reminders called repeating reminders, but this follow-up mode will also apply to that. So let me give you an example. Alexa, create a repeating follow-up reminder.
When do you want me to remind you?
9 a.m.
When do you want me to remind you?
Every day, 9 a.m.
What's the reminder for?
Take your medication.
Okay. I'll remind you every day at 9 a.m. and follow up every hour until you tell me this is done.
Check that out. Ain't that awesome? So you get the power and versatility of repeating reminders, and you can add in that follow-up mode. And that way, especially think of a family member or even yourself, maybe a particular item during the day, you can do that. Now, just as a branch out into repeating reminders, feel free to check back our catalog. You can say every day, you could say every Tuesday, every Wednesday. I think you can also specify weekdays or weekends, and so that is an option as well. So just bear that in mind. If you hear that vibrating in the background, that's because the reminders came out on my phone as well. So that, which is another testimony of how cool they are. You can have them with you, even if you're not at home, you're out in a store, and still get that reminder. Okay, so super cool. And as always, you can delete the reminders. Alexa, delete medication reminder.
You have one reminder. Take your medication every day at 9 a.m. Do you want me to cancel all instances of this reminder?
Yes.
Take your medication every day at 9 a.m. canceled.
Okay, there we go. Is that simple? All right, so super cool. So just a few additional details of some things you can customize this inside the A-Lady app on your tablet or smartphone. So if you open your A-Lady app, and you may need to make sure it's updated, but A-Lady app, you go to the More button in the bottom right corner, you tap on that, then you go to Settings, then you're going to scroll down a very long list till you get down to Reminders. You're going to tap on Reminders, and then from that menu, you got a lot of different things. Some of the few things I alluded to earlier about how you can get notifications on your phone, how many times the reminder repeats itself in the instance when it goes off. Is it 1, 2, 3 times? And then also, ultimately, down at the bottom is where we find our new features connected with follow-up mode. And I believe they're under a heading that says Account Settings. Now, the first option is very interesting, where you can actually toggle it on. It does have a brief little tutorial page where it says, would you like follow-up mode to be on by default for all reminders? So I'm not too sure you'd want that or not, but it by default will turn all reminders into follow-up reminders. In other words, every reminder you ever set on there, you don't have to say the word follow-up reminder. You just say create a reminder just like you've always done, but it will automatically earmark it as a follow-up reminder and nag you, if you will, every hour afterwards until you acknowledge it. So that's an option. So I don't know. Something to consider, maybe worth configuring. If you need to make it easy for a family member to use, that might be a nice option to turn on. The additional option, which I haven't played with, is immediately below that, which is kind of like a savvy, smarty AI auto detect whether it should be a follow-up reminder. And you can turn that on as well. And what it will do is basically, as you set reminders in the future, if it maybe senses that maybe the topic or material would be beneficial to be reminded about, additionally, it will maybe prompt you, hey, would you like to make that a follow-up reminder? So I would imagine if maybe you said something like medication or something like that, it might prompt you, hey, would you like to get a continuing follow-up notice about that until you get that done? And you could specify yes or no. So don't know how well that works, but you can, of course, toggle it on and try it as well. Okay, so that basically brings, excuse me, these this little info about the new follow-up reminders. I was going to mention too, the new thing about how you can earmark for specific family members. Now, this one kind of bakes my noodle a little bit, but if you had a family of 4, and you had mom and dad, and you had little Johnny and little Peggy Sue, and you had them all with their own tablets and their own setup, you can actually add family members to your profile, like I've had to do to create to play with little kids features on the Amazon Kids, and I created little Johnny as an example. But let's say little Johnny was actually a member of my family. If he had his tablet set up and earmarked as Johnny's tablet, in the A-Lady app, then I could go later and specify a reminder for little Johnny or for whoever. So let's give an example here. Alexa, create a reminder for Johnny take out trash.
When should I remind Johnny?
5 p.m.
Okay, David. I'll remind Johnny at 5 p.m.
Okay, super duper. Now, if you were actually to hear it go off, it would say, maybe I should have done that. I should have said it so that you guys could hear it. But it'll basically say, David set a reminder for you, Johnny, that blah, 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 take out the trash. But if he had it on his phone or his tablet or whatever, little Johnny had that on there, it would specifically go to him versus everybody, in the whole family. You can also earmark it for everyone. That way everybody gets a reminder. Maybe it's all purpose, everybody, all hands on deck. We need to do yada, 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 take out the trash, whatever it is. Or you can earmark it by family member as they're connected to your profile. Now, I think this can get a little more elaborate, especially if you've set up voice ID so the echoes identify different people as they're talking to them. And so that might add into this as well. All right, so anyway, well, that basically brings this episode to a close. If you'd like to reach out to me or have thoughts or suggestions, you can do so at info@goodwillvalleys.com. You're also welcome to reach out to us or just offer suggestions, questions. Just say, hey, I love the podcast at Facebook or Twitter at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys. And so that is an option as well. We'd really appreciate you give us a thumbs up, a 5-star review in your podcast player of choice. And that really helps. Or even leave a comment on Apple's podcast feature. We really love to hear that feedback. All right, well, that brings this episode to a close. It's time to turn the ears back on your Echo, start practicing some of the many things that you've learned. I'm David Ward for the New Vision program, and we thank you for listening.
Thanks, Dave. Let me tell you a bit more. Let me put on my official sounding voice. Ahem, ahem. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Phew! Thanks for listening.